My name is Jack from True Dead Frog, and I want to show you how I create text animation in After Effects. I always had some trouble trying to create animations using the built-in text animation tool in After Effects, and that's because it's just an interpolation tool. You set the point A and the point B, and the software interpolate between them. Whatever you want to do, more than that, you will have to use several new animators and some expressions to do that. So I tried to figure out another way to create text animations in a more intuitive way. If you use a controller to create the animations that you want and send somehow these animations to your text layer with the delay that you choose, you will have something much more powerful in your hands, because you will have all the control that you need to animate your text. I want to show you how to create a project that uses a controller to make your text animation. And we will do that using a shape layer like this one, where we will create animations and these animations will be sent to our text layer. In True Dead Frog blog, you have the step-by-step with the expressions that you can copy and paste in your project. In fact, you can download this project that we made in this tutorial, so you can play around or study or even use it in your project. You can use it as you want. If you like this workflow, I recommend you to know the Simple Text. Simple Text is a script for After Effects. It does exactly what you will learn in this tutorial, but in a simpler and faster way. I will create a composition with 1280 per 720 pixels, and now I will create a text layer with the text that I want. You can choose whatever you want. In my case, will be my text animation, just like this one here. Now we need to add all the parameters that we need to create the animations that we want. In this case, you can come here and click animate and then add all transform properties. As you can see, After Effects automatically create this animator, and this animator corresponds to my entire text from the beginning to the end. And in these properties, it adds all the transform possibilities that we have to animate our text. These two properties, I don't want to use them right now, so I will delete them. There is other important setting that we need to enable, that is this one, enable per character 3D. As you can see right now, our properties have just 2 axes. When you enable it, we will have 3 axes. In this way, we can explore 3D animations in After Effects. So each letter will have 3 axes. It will let us create more complex animations. Now, some little details that will make our text work better when connected with our controller. So go to more options, and in group alignment, set -50. If you see here, it's kind of the anchor point of each letter that we have. So when you set it to -50, it's kind to centralize the anchor point at the center of your letter. Again, it will make easier to create the animations as we want. So our next step is to create our controller. To create it, I will create a new composition with the size of 9020 for 9020, and I will name it animator. And inside this composition, with the rectangle tool, I will create our controller. To be a little faster, I will double click on this tool, so it will create a rectangle with the size of my composition. Now when I select this layer and hit U 2 times, I will see all the parameters that is not resetted. So I can go to size and set 100. because this is the size that I want to my controller. I will rename this layer as animator 2. As we enabled the option enable per character 3D, now I need to do the same at this layer. So in this case, I will go to the layer and enable the 3D property of it. In this way, all the parameters will have 3 axes as well. Now I want to show you an important detail. Again, I will click in the name of this composition and drag to the side. So in this way, I can see all the parameters that will guide our animator in the text layer. So what we can see is all the parameters are exactly the same, but the position is not. As you can see here, position is 0, and in our controller, position is 960. So what we must do is make sure that position value will be 0. To fix it, all we need to do is create a new object, and then I will name this new object as 0 animator. And now let me drag it to the top, and I will parent my animator to this null. And as you can see, my position will be 0 now. And that is because my null position have that value, and the animator position is in relation to the null. So it will be 0 now. But now I don't want to see this null anymore. So what I can do is turn the visibility off and enable the shy option here and lock the layer. And then I can enable the shy so it will hide, and I will just see my animator in this composition. And there is another option that I want to enable, that is guide layer here. So if you nest this composition inside other composition for any reason, this layer will be not rendered. Now I will create an animation here. This animation will help us to see what is going on while we start to create these expressions in the properties. I will create an animation in the rotation and in the position, okay? It's a very simple animation, but it is just we see what's going on. Now I need to adapt my animator in the text layer. Each letter will have your own animator. So this animator will take in account the delay that we will choose, the time between each letter. So let's open the range selector. Inside the range selector, I have the advanced options, and I have based on. Right now it's character, but I want character excluding spaces, so the space will not be taken in account while we make our animations. The other option is unit. I don't want the percentage. Right now it is from 0 to 100. I want from index, so it will take in account how many letters we have in our text. So if I want to select just the first letter, I will hit 1 here, and then I will increase the offset to select the second and the third and the fourth letter. In this way, it's possible to choose the letter that I want. So as we will have one animator to each letter, I just need to increase the offset to each animator so it can represent the right letter. But the problem is I don't want to increase it manually, so we will create an expression to deal with it. What you have to do is alt-click on this icon and then write this expression here. So this property group number 3 dot property index -1. And now let's understand this expression. So the first part of this expression is this property. It refers to offset. The second part of this expression is the property group number 3. This expression is very interesting because it allows me to reach different parameters in the hierarchy of my property. So every time I increase a number here, it will move up the group of properties. And it's very useful because I will use it to count how many animators do we have. So in this case, the number 1 would be the offset parameter. So when I increase to 2, it will be the range selector, and the property group 3 is the animators that I have in my text. The last part that we have in this expression is the property index. If you have some knowledge with expressions, you may know the index expression. Every layer has its own index. So when I duplicate this layer here, the index of this layer will be 6. In my case, we don't want to know the index of a layer, but we want to know the index of a property. I want to know how many animators I have here. So when I duplicate this animator, I can see that the offset will increase because it is the number of animators that I have here. Let me show you it in a different way. So if I duplicate this animator several times and I look up for offset here, as you can see, every new animator, the offset has increased by 1. And this is exactly what I want, because in this way I can have 1 animator for each letter. But we didn't finish with this animator yet, so I will delete the other animators and keep just the animator 1, because there are some things that we must do on it yet. What we need to do now is create an effect that I can access here. So expression controls, and then I have the slider control. This control is very useful. It will do nothing alone, but the thing is that you can connect some expressions to it, so you can control the numbers with this slider control. I will use it to set my delay, so you can rename it to delay. And I will put 0.05 here. That is the delay that we used in the animation that we had at the start of this tutorial. It means that every 0.05 seconds a new letter will be animated. The next step is to connect the parameter from the animator, from the text layer, to the parameter in my controller, in the animator that I created. So in the animator 1 position, I will use the pick whip to connect it to my position in my shape layer called animator. As you can see now, it's already working somehow because the letter M is animating just like my animator. But now I need to make some adjustment on the expression that After Effects created for me when I used the pick whip. I have 2 objectives here. The first one is to make easy to read the expressions, and the expression must take in account the delay that we have here and the current letter that we are working on. For that, we need to create some variables. If you have no experience with expression or with coding, variables are some kind of container where you can store some value or some information, and we can give a name to it. So the first variable will represent the layer that our animation comes from. So we can call it source layer. And the second variable will be the parameter that will be the source of our animation. So we can call it source parameter. And now all we have to do is take the parts of the expression down here that will represent what we want. Let me just turn off the expression right now, and then we can copy here the composition and layer part, select it, just cut and paste here in the source layer variable. Okay, and now we will take this source layer, that is the name of the variable that we just defined, paste it here, and then take the rest of this expression and paste it here in the source parameter. In the future, we will must to change this information, and that's why it's so important to make it more clear. Let's create now the variable called delay. And with the pick whip, you can click and drag to the slider on our delay effect. Now our delay variable has the number 0.05, but as it is in a slider, we can change it when we want, just changing the slider. The next variable will be current letter. This expression is very similar to the one that we used at the offset. I will just copy it and paste in my expression, but as it is in a different property group, I must change the property group from 3 to 2 here, okay? And now I will create a new variable and I will call it current delay. Its function is to know exactly the delay that we must have in each animator. So if we are at the first letter, the animation will start exactly at the same point the animator animation start. But if we are at the second letter, it will start at 0.05. And if we are in the third letter, it will start at 2 versus the delay that we have. So the logic here is current letter versus delay. The last line in our expression will mix up all the variables that we create and make the magic happen. We will take the source parameter, that in this case corresponds to the animator position, and then we will set a value at time. This expression will take the value of this property at the time that I want. If we type time here, it will use our current time, but then I will add a minus in point. And that's because if we in some point drag our layer to other time than 0, I want the animation to start at the in point of my layer and not at the 0 of my composition. And that's why I'm using this expression here. So minus in point, okay? I will just disable the expression again. And another expression is minus current delay, okay? Because this part of expression will take in account the delay that we choose in our expression. Just mistyping here, it's in point. My letter M is working again, and that's great. What I will do now is duplicate this animator sometimes just to see if it is working. And whoa, yeah, great, it's really working. Amazing. Now what we need to do is connect all other parameters using the same expression. I will connect the anchor point to the animator anchor point. It's hidden, just hit Shift A so it will appear. Then use the peak whip, drag to the anchor point at the animator, okay? The same to scale. The scale is not showing up here. Just click and hit Shift S and then use the peak whip with the scale, and the same with X rotation, the other rotation here, Z rotation, okay? And with the opacity, just hit Shift T and connect the opacity as well, okay? And now we will copy this expression and paste at the anchor point like this. Just some space here, okay? And from this expression that After Effects created, I just need the transform anchor point. I will delete the rest, okay? And then paste it right here in the source parameter. Like this. Great. Now my anchor point is animated by the animator. And now what I need to do is make the same to the other parameters. So copy the expression here. Let's go to the scale, make some space, paste the expression here, and then take the transform scale, copy, delete the rest, and paste here, like this. Okay, great. Scale is ready to go. Now let's go to the next one. In fact, it's not hard to write it manually. So in this case, just replace scale to opacity. Now it's time of Z rotation. Just paste and write Z rotation. And now Y rotation. Just paste the expression and change here for Y rotation. Don't worry about this kind of expression error. As soon as you paste the right parameter here, it will disappear. Now it's time of X rotation. As you can see, it was important to create these variables, because if we had just one long line with the entire expression, it would be very difficult to change this information. So here I know that in the line 2 we have the property that we need to change. Okay, let me see. Position, right, scale, Z rotation, Y rotation, opacity. All the parameters are linked. It means that our master animator is created. Now what I have to do is duplicate this animator as many letters as we have in the sentence. In this case, I will duplicate it 16 times. Okay, I have 16 animators here, and now I have an animator that controls the animation of my text layer. And now we can have a lot of fun with this. I will change the delay here to 0, 1. So every 0, 1 second, a new letter will be animated. And with this controller, I can create the animation that I want. A trick here, you can lock this viewer and then click in the name of composition and create a new comp viewer. In this way, you can see in real time what you are creating, right, in your text. Of course, it's not a fancy animation, but I suggest you to use all your creativity because it's much more intuitive and easy to create text animation in this way. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If you have any doubt, please leave a comment and I will be happy to answer. Bye bye.